What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial here with a classic movie review. Today, we're going to be talking about Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior, the second installment of the Mad Max franchise. Furiosa is going to be out in theaters in a few weeks, so we're going to go back and talk about the previous Mad Max films. I've already talked about the original Mad Max. If you haven't seen my review for that, check out my channel. It is going to be on a playlist called Mad Max. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into The Road Warrior. So, I was not a fan of the original Mad Max. I didn't really like it at all. And I know that angers a lot of you out there. I know there's quite a few of you that grew up watching the first Mad Max and it was very entertaining for you. Um, I personally don't understand it because there wasn't that much that happened in the first Mad Max. Mel Gibson as Max himself is not an interesting character. The villains felt very one note and hammy and over the top, and it didn't really feel like a post apocalyptic world, and they don't even explain why. Um, but there was a couple of cool car chase sequences in there, so that was at least good. But I'm sorry, the first Mad Max is not really a film that I will go back and watch again. However, I was very interested in seeing the second film because that's the movie that people like to talk about the most when it comes to Mad Max is The Road Warrior. That was the starting off point of this franchise, truly. I think that was the film that apparently George Miller actually was able to make. They actually gave him more money for this movie. It actually will feel more in line of what we know if Mad Max is actually in the post-apocalyptic world, and you can see how it will lead up to what we eventually get with Fury Road and Furiosa. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, first one didn't work for me, but I am interested in seeing the second film. Hopefully, I will get more from the second film and actually get a little bit more invested in the franchise. So I sat down and watched it, and I'm happy to say, yes, this is a lot better than the first film. Honestly, this should be the starting off point. If you want to introduce a newcomer to the Mad Max franchise, I think this is the film you probably should start with. Because, yes, this feels more in line with the Mad Max that we know today. This actually feels more of the film that George Miller wanted to make. It's a lot more exciting. There's a little bit more substance. So happy to say that I enjoyed this a lot more than the first film. Now, do I think this movie is good? Well, it's complicated. Okay, yeah, I know. Well, I look, hear me out. Come on, look. I gotta be honest with you guys. This is why you tune into my videos, right? You want my honest opinions about this. Like I can't mince words with you. While yes, I do think this is more entertaining than the first film, I don't love this still. I'm still very in the middle on this. Um I don't know. Like I will say this. Like as I said, I do enjoy more of the setting in this film. Like as I said, this actually feels more like the post-apocalyptic world that I saw in Fury Road, because Fury Road was the first Mad Max movie I ever saw. So it's the world building feels more realized in this. As far as like the crazy outfits and the the metal cars and with all the weapons and stuff like that, I thought visually all of that seemed really really interesting. And them actually establishing different clans for the post-apocalyptic world. That's pretty interesting. And what I also appreciate with this film is that they do try to explain how we got to this point in the beginning of the movie. There's a little bit of an exposition dump of there was a war that was over the resources of humanity and with the fuel and stuff like that, and that caused a huge world war, which eventually led to everything being apocalyptic. I could have used more detail with that, but I at least appreciate that they explained how we got here. And for those of you who have not seen the first Mad Max, the movie does a pretty good job explaining what happened in the previous film. So you don't necessarily have to watch the first film to understand what's going on here. So I was like, okay, great, I appreciate that. Um, the characters here are a little bit more interesting than they were in the first film. Um, I wouldn't say that they are fully three-dimensional characters, but at least they're more interesting to watch than the first film. Um, but I'll say the action. The action is really, really good. The action is a lot better than it was in the first film. There's a lot more action in this, which I appreciate that. But as far as like the practical car stunts in this movie, that to me so far is the highlight of these films. Is that George Miller actually got actual cars and trucks, and they're actually modified. There's actual like practical stunts in here that is absolutely amazing, you know. And it's like I really appreciate seeing that in action films, like they're actually being, doing these high octane car chases, and they're actually having people doing, the stunts and jumping off of cars and like fighting with weapons and all that stuff. Like the car stunts in here is absolutely incredible. The climax of this movie is just a full-on 15 almost 20-minute car chase sequence, and that was absolutely incredible. It was probably one of the best car chase sequences I've ever seen in a film. I am not even lying. Like, it was so impressive what George Miller was able to do. And it's clear that they gave him more money to actually be able to see his vision more throughout, and it's great. Like, George Miller has such personality with his direction. I start to feel it more and more as we go on to this franchise. And it's crazy because this guy used to be a doctor, and so it's just amazing that he's able to pull off this movie as well as he did. And he actually understands car stunts and action sequences, how to direct action sequences. All that was very, really good. Outside of, there was a couple of moments where he was using handheld camera, and so the camera would shake unnecessarily in a couple of moments. So there's a little bit of shaky cam that he probably didn't really need in this film, but overall the action here is really, really good. But any action becomes visual noise if I don't care about the characters, and that is still a big issue with these Mad Max films. I have a hard time grasping with these characters. Mel Gibson as Max is still a boring character. Like, I'm not getting anything from him. I'm not necessarily blaming Mel Gibson, because I do think he can pull off a better performance, even though I don't really care for him as a person. I do know he's more capable of doing a better performance, and here it's just not it. It's not it. He pretty much acts the exact same as he did in the first film, which was not that much in there. And it's like the blueprint of giving him a good development is there. He lost his wife and his kid. They were killed. And you would think that would actually be like something to help him, you know, develop better as a character, but it's like he almost feels like he almost acts like, I'm sorry, he almost acts like that stuff never happened, or it's like whenever they do bring it up, it's like I just wanted to see him, react to that more, and I don't really see that at all. It's just he's playing everything off so, so cool and just stoic, and I'm just the badass, and that's all that he is. That's all that he is. Like, I just needed a little bit more dimension with him. And then as far as the other like people that he joins with to to fight against the villains, I don't even know the name of their clan necessarily, but it's like I don't really care for any of the characters there either. Like, we don't spend enough time with these characters to get to know them as people. They're pretty much just on the run or just trying to protect their resources, which I guess the urgency of the situation is more important. But at the same time, it's just like I would like to get to know them more as people, especially because they are trying to get a little bit more emotion out of Max. But it's like I just don't get to know any of these people. I don't really care about them. I'm sorry. It's just like I don't know. And then as far as like I wish we got a little bit more explanation of like the fuel, that everybody is fighting over. Like, how did that become the lasting resource of this post-apocalyptic world? I mean, yeah, I guess the fuel is there to help fuel their vehicles and stuff like that. But it's just like, how did? I'm guessing it's gasoline. Gasoline is like the main like fuel that everybody's fighting over. Why is that the case? Is it just because they're driving around in these crazy cars with weapons, or is it something bigger? Because like I just wish we got a little bit more of an explanation towards that, and how everyone, how the clans came to be. How did they create all these clans? Like, how did they make up like all these stuff? Like, I mean, there's probably some stuff that I probably should go along with, as far as being post-apocalyptic. You should just go along with certain things, but there's just some stuff that just didn't add up to me personally. And I'm sorry. As far as the costume work in here, like I appreciate it has a little bit more. It actually has a lot more personality than it did in the first film, as far as like their outfits and with the crazy looks and stuff like that. But some of it came off a little too silly to me in this film. Like the main clan that Max is with, like they're all in like these brightly colored cloths and stuff like that, and I'm just like, why are they wearing that? And they're in the middle of the desert where everything is dirty, and they all their outfits look a little too clean. Why is that? Like they're out in the desert for all these years, and I'm sure they got into a couple of squabbles here and there, but all their stuff looks a little too clean, and they're wearing these bright colors. It just didn't make sense to me. And then you have certain characters like that, like the kid in this movie. Like, what is up with the kid? Like he's what is he, feral? Like he doesn't speak at all. He just growls, and he has this crazy looking mohawk, and then he has a killer boomerang. I'm not kidding. A killer boomerang. He actually kills people with a boomerang. There was like some really goofy deaths with that boomerang. Like he freaking impales somebody in the head with it. He chops off somebody's fingers with the boomerang. I'm like, what are we watching right now? And I'm sorry, Wes, the guy with the mohawk, terrible, absolutely terrible. I did not like him at all. Way too over the top, in my opinion. And like he's not even the one that looks the weirdest out of all of them. The main antagonist of the movie, what is he called? Humongous. Why does he look like a freaking gladiator Jason Voorhees? Like that just, I don't know. And then his voice was too goofy to me, and then there was a couple scenes where he's trying so hard to flex his muscles and stuff like that. It's like, it's just, I couldn't take any of that seriously. I'm sorry. Like it would be one thing if like we actually saw him do any badass scenes like Humongous and Wes, but like we don't really get to see it that much. And it's just like, it's just really hard for me to take this world seriously, because not only are they half-assing the development of this world, but they're also half-assing like the aesthetics. Like they're trying to be so metal, and there are a couple of moments that do feel metal, but then there's some stuff that just feels too goofy and over the top, like the feral kid with the boomerang, like the guy with the mohawk, like Humongous's overall aesthetic. It's just like, it's just not coming off cool. It's trying so hard to be cool, and it's coming off goofy. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. There's this warrior woman with what was it? She had like a bow and arrow, and that was kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. And then okay, the the captain that pilots that helicopter thing. Like I thought the helicopter sequences with him was pretty cool. I liked how that was filmed, but overall, him as a character also was really, really goofy. And there could have been something. There could have been something compelling that they could have done with the captain and Max, because they kind of set up a little bit of them being reluctant partners, and they could have set up like a dynamic with them, but that's half baked as well. So I don't know, man. Like, I really tried. Like, I think this is a step in the right direction for certain things. Like, with as far as setting up the Mad Max world and making it cooler, but it's just like, I still didn't walk away being like, oh, I love this. Oh, now I'm fully in, you know? It's just like the characters. Once again, I have a hard time, caring about any of the characters. Max being the main star, like the movie's named after him, and he's the most boring character in the movie. Like the feral kid is more interesting than him, and it's just like I'm sorry, they need to do more with him. They need to give him more development. I wanted to get more about him losing his wife and his kid. I wanted to see how he feels about that, how it changed him as a person. You know, and it's like I want to know more about this main village people. It's just like I just need to see more development with them. And it's like these goofy moments that they like to put in here, it's just unnecessary. There's literally a scene where after the villagers, get into this battle with Humongous and his clan, their resources have been damaged, and they have somebody analyze the damage. And the main head of the clan, what's his name, Papa Gallo, whatever. He's injured, and he's like on the other side of the village, and the guy is analyzing the damage, and he has somebody call out the dam. He has a separate person like relaying the message to the other side of the village, and it's like he's going one by one, step one by one of like what the damage is. It's like something's wrong with this, and the guy calls out something's wrong with this, and it's like also we need to repair this. Oh, we need to repair this, and I'm like, why don't you just analyze the damage in full and then walk to Papa Gallo and give the full rundown? Why do you need somebody to yell out everything one by one when you can just walk up to him after you're done assessing the damage? Like, it's silly stuff like that. So I don't know. It's like it wants to commit to it without fully expanding on what they're trying to fully go into. You know what I'm saying? Like the world building is not fully defined enough, so when they're trying to commit to these really silly concepts, it just comes off weird. So I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I really did try with this film. I do think there are some entertaining moments here and there. Like the action scenes are actually very entertaining, and there's some stuff with the costume work, and that's kind of cool. But then there's other stuff that's really silly. But yeah, once again, the biggest thing I can get out of is the practical stunts in the car stunts. I thought that stuff was really cool. But as far as the characters and all that, it just didn't work for me. So I will have to give Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior a C. I'm sorry, that's the best I can give it. I don't know if this is a movie I will revisit as much either, but I will say if you want to get people more accustomed to the world of Mad Max, I guess you could start it out with this. I'm gonna piss off a lot of people with this review, but that's honestly how I feel. But that's what I thought about Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does it compare to the rest of the Mad Max franchise? Is this the best one in your opinion? Is this like the Empire Strikes Back of the Mad Max films at the time? I don't know. Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. So the next film I will be talking about is Mad Max 3: Beyond Thunderdome. So tune in for that when it comes out. But if you guys enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. But if you also didn't like my review and you completely disagree with me, it's okay. You can dislike this video as well. But it makes for good conversations, even if we don't agree. But I keep it real here. That's what I do. But yeah, that's all I have for you Mad Max fans, and I will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.